Mater misericordiae, vitalus Jego, espes nostra salve, patriconamus. I was, raised Catholic. It was like the main focus of our lives. Everything was structured around that. And had, our hobbies, our interests, but everything front and center was the faith. My research project that I had to do for my master's degree was making a cooling blanket. I spent 3 years making spacesuits. I got shuffled around, which was part of what helped me start looking outward and made me a lot more open to discerning priesthood. The first time being a priest really entered my mind. When I was about 10, I started training to be an altar server for my brother's wedding, actually. And, of course, people are like, oh, that little guy's gonna be a priest someday. And, at the time, I'm like, come on. I had my own ideas of what my life was gonna look like, so of course that didn't work out. And so in 2020, I was doing Exodus 90, and the priest that we had as an advisor for our group pulled me aside after one of our meetings, and he said that he thought I had a vocation. Finally, I did contact the vocations director for the Diocese of Wilmington, where I was at the time. And it was funny, I was about halfway through our conversation, I was just kind of saying, I like the idea of the priesthood, but I don't know if it's for me. And he just stopped me and he said, Stephen, do you realize how much you smile when you talk about the priesthood? And the light went on. I was like, huh, okay. And from there onward, it was, the decision wasn't completely made, but it was much closer to yes. Father Killian, one of the priests here, he had once been a diocesan priest in my home diocese of Scranton, and he had actually been assigned at my parish when I was born, and so he baptized me. When I started discerning at the age of 26, I told my parents, and my mom thought that I would do better in a community rather than alone as a diocesan priest. It was about 8 months after I'd started discerning. I said, okay, need to follow Mom's advice. And so I signed up for the Come and See, and here we are. Some people might be a little put off by you're in the same place with the same people day after day. And I was like, that sounds so nice compared to what I had before. I knew it was going to be a change, but it really seemed like something that would help with what I had been going through. I came in with a small novice class, and in the summer, everyone just kind of scatters because they all have things they're finally free to do. And so the beginning of novitiate is, it can be pretty lonely. But the way to that was just to realize how much I needed to just give myself to Christ, and then to give myself to this community and just rely on the people here, rely on Jesus. The other big challenge was all the expectations and the pressure I put on myself. I remember hearing all the stories about what other people had done when they were novices. So I came in, I had this whole plan, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this and that, everyone's gonna be amazed. And then I did not. And so trying to deal with that, the pressure I put on myself, and feeling like I was failing, when really it was just all my own ideas that were just not working out because I came in with the wrong perspective, really. So now I am a seminary student. I just finished my first year in pre-theology, or first discipleship as it's called now. But when I'm not taking classes, I attend prayer and meals, of course, and then I have 3 abbatial assignments that I switch back and forth between depending on what's needed. So we have several tabernacles where the Eucharist is kept. We can always find time with Jesus. There's multiple masses every day. So it's never never impossible to get access to the sacraments. And that's something that is just a relief, compared to how it was before I entered. Here it's just part of daily life, and it's really beautiful. Whatever you're worried about, whatever you think is going to be difficult, at some point you gotta leap without looking. trust God and make a decision. Somewhere I heard the saying, ever since discernment became popular, no one's made a decision since. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to get moving on this, and I knew I had already been, pushing back on whether or not God was calling me, and I knew I'd been waiting too long.